Hello there. I'm trying to get this set up so I can hold my dog, drink some coffee. Come here. Come on. Oh, there we go. I was going to tell you my long post office story. There's 6 people there. I'll give it a minute. Let's say hi. I can't see any comments. I'm on my phone. My laptop just quit, so no, it won't work that way. I gotta. Okay. All right. I'm just gonna assume you're all there, or somebody's there. And Texas Kayak. Hey, how are you? Okay. I'm going to tell you my long post office story that started about 25 years ago. I moved to Sibley, Louisiana. Anyway, I'm in my knife shop, by the way, petting my dog and drinking some Java. Moved to Sibley, Louisiana, bought a house. We worked so hard to get that house and moved in. I was a truck driver. I was an owner operator, so I had nowhere to park my truck but at my house. So when I would come home, I would park my truck out in front of my house. I lived at the end of a dead-end road. And the mailman would come flying down the road and would be mad, obviously mad, that my truck was parked in front of my house, because that means he had to back up. Hey, good morning. That means he had to back up, and for some reason it angered him to have to back up. Even though I was the very last house on the block at the dead end. So this guy just gave me hell every time he could. And I didn't know he had a problem with me until he started doing weird stuff like driving around my truck up into my front yard, way up. I mean 40, 50 feet up right in front of my living room, and then back out onto the road. And that's bizarre that anybody would think that's okay to do. So I automatically know this guy's got problems, because that is such a, who does that? Who drives up in other people's front yards? So the guy continues to do it. So one day I'm out working on my truck. I've got tools everywhere. I've got air lines laid out. I've got my extension cords laid out. And my dog, Joe, at the time, my old dog Joe, was laying out there in the sun with me. And this mailman comes flying down the road and does what he always does, goes way out around the front of my truck, up into my front yard, and almost runs over my dog, who is well in my yard, way in my yard. So we had some words about, why are you doing this, man? I mean, I've tried to introduce myself. I tried to shake my hand, and you totally ignored me. You drove right past me. I don't know what your problem is, but stop driving up in my yard. So then he tells me, my truck is parked there, so he has to back up. And I said, oh, okay. Hey, Ann, good morning. And so that's when I realized he really does have a problem with it. He's not just a mental case. He's got a problem with me personally for coming home in my truck. I've got nowhere else to park my truck. It has to come home with me. I work in Dallas. I live in Louisiana. So, I can't leave my truck in Dallas and walk home. So he goes to the mayor to try to get the mayor to tell me not to bring my truck home. And it gets weirder and weirder and weirder. And I go to the mayor and he laughs because everybody's had problems with his Looney Tunes mailman. So the mayor tells me, yeah, he wants to stop you from bringing your truck home so he doesn't have to back up. And I said, well, my truck is 16,400 pounds, which is well under the 18,000 pound limit for rural roads. So I can legally bring it home. And you know, if for that matter, there's campers, there's RVs, there's motorhomes that are there that weigh way more than my truck does. So anyway, the mayor doesn't give them an inch and tells them to basically screw off, leave that guy alone. And so he keeps driving up in my front yard. So eventually, I put a fence up in my front yard. Number one, to keep him from driving up in my yard, but more importantly, to keep this Looney Tunes from driving over my dog, killing my dog. Hey, Jordan. Morning. I'm blind. So now he's mad that I put a fence up because now he can't drive around my truck. Now he has to back up. So then he stops delivering mail to my mailbox. And I go to the post office and I ask the postmaster, who's also a loon, which we'll get into, what is the problem? And she said, well, your mailbox is not at regulation height. And I said, well, what is regulation height? And she said, well, you'll have to ask the postman. I don't know. So I can't even get the guy to talk to me. So I get online and I find what regulation height is. And my mailbox, the mouth of my mailbox where the door folds down, is like 2 inches lower than what the parameters. There's like a 7-inch parameter that the door has to fall in. So what I did was I took a shovel and I shoveled some dirt away from where you would measure underneath the door. And I caught him. I basically blocked him in one day and I said, my mailbox has been fixed so you can go back to delivering my mail. And God, I tell you, it was about 2 years of bull crap with that guy, trying to keep me from getting my mail, just one thing after another, and all because I came home in my truck and he didn't want to have to back up. And that was the beginning of with that post office. That was the beginning. So finally, I've had enough of his BS. Oh, what he would do when he went back to delivering my mail, I got sand and stuff all over my head. I just finished sanding a bunch of knives. When he went back to delivering the mail, he would close my box, knowing we were gone for weeks at a time. He would close my box, or there's a magnet that held the door shut, and he would pull the door open just enough where the magnet wouldn't pull it closed, and all that rain would go down inside my mailbox for 3 weeks while I was on the road. The guy was a son of a bitch. And all this started because I came home in my truck. And he wanted me to walk home from Dallas. So eventually, I just gave up. And I cut my mailbox down. I went and got a post office box, and voila, he never saw him, never spoke to him again. And years go by, and he retired. So I went and I put my mailbox back up because it's a bit of a hassle. Oh, no. One more thing happened. So now I'm getting all my mail at the post office. So I'm an over-the-road truck driver. My wife and I were team drivers, and there's nobody to pick up our mail. So on our way past, we would take a back road at night, and there was a place we could park near the post office, and we could get our bills, our mail, our checks. I was an owner-operator, so I had to get my check. Somebody just sent me home. Mike Bloomberg wants Hillary Clinton as a running mate. La-di-da. That's a little news flash. That's my wife sent me that. So one day I go to stop and get my mail, and there's nothing in my post office box. It's empty. And a week later I stop and I got no mail. So it's 3 in the morning, so there's nobody there. So finally I get off on my 3-week tour. I drive home from Dallas. I get in my car and I go to the post office and I ask them, how come I haven't got mail in 3 weeks? I've got checks to deposit. I've got bills that are now past due. And she says, well, you didn't pay your box rent. I said, I damn sure did. She said, no, you didn't. And I said, you stay right here. I'm going to go home and get the canceled freaking check and show you. Went home, got the canceled check, back to the post office, and all she says was, oh, well, it was just an oversight. It was an oversight on her part, but I had late bills, I had checks I couldn't deposit because she had them. Uh, Another nut, and that was the original nut that wouldn't get this mailman just to do his job and leave people alone. So that was the beginning. Years go by. Years go by, and it's nonsense just like that over the years. One thing after another. I try to mail stuff, and she would charge me. Oh, here's one. I used a label. They have these labels that they'll give you for priority mail, and you can put your address, your return address, and to the sender's address, and it says priority mail at the top. Well, I mailed a lot of boxes. I've been making knives for a while, but one day I was going to mail a box, and I didn't have a label, so I cut the priority mail label off the top of the post office labels. It didn't say nothing on it that had anything to do with post office. It just said from and to. And I put it on the box I'm mailing, and I bring it to the post office, and she says, well, I'm going to have to charge you priority mail price. I said, why? She said, because you're using a priority mail label. I said, there isn't a thing on there that says priority mail. And she says, well, I know it's a priority mail label and that you cut the top of it off, so I'm going to charge you priority mail price. Oh, God. Every time I went there, it was something. Went to mail a box. Somebody in New Zealand bought a knife and gave me the country code and his zip code. I don't know if they call them zip codes. They probably call them postal codes over there. So go to the post office, and this dummy does not know that NZ stands for New Zealand. She said, NZ ain't a state. And I said, I know NZ ain't a state. NZ is a country. It stands for New Zealand. That's what, because what she says, well, you can't ship this. There's too many numbers in that zip code. And I said, no, it's a country code. And then the argument about NZ not being a state. Oh my God, how do they find these people and put them in positions where they're actually over people? That's why I joke, but not really, that in order to work for the post office, you've got to be pretty damn, I don't want to hurt people's feelings that do a good job and enjoy their job and work for the post office. I'm sure there's lots and lots of good people that work for the post office. I haven't ran into those people. So 25 years, 22 years, 23 having trouble with those people at that post office in Louisiana. Same kind of BS. Every time I go in there, it's something. Oh yeah, I did a video yesterday, this morning rather, where you can get free boxes from the post office, provided you use them to mail, through the post office, which is, of course, that's what I do. So you can order them and have either, you get them in packages of 10 or 25. And I send a lot of boxes out, so I get them in packages of 25. Well, back in Louisiana, I ordered me a package of 25, and they come shrink wrapped with your address on the box. There's no question as to who it belongs to. This lady opens this package that's addressed to me, takes out all the boxes, and gives me one. And I said, you can't do that. That's addressed to me. You just opened my package. She says, it's property of the U.S. mail, and I can't let you have that, man. And it's crazy, man. There's people that have businesses that order boxes all the time, and I was one of them. So it's just that kind of Looney Tunes, head-scratching, where do they find these people, and why do they get such joy out of giving people hassles? So finally, I move over here to Texas. I got to put my dog down and take a sip of coffee. I move over here to Texas. My mailbox is just inside my gate. So the mailman used to come down the dead end road, drive in the gate, and put our mail in the box. I have 3 dogs. Bev had, at that time, had 3 dogs. We had 6 dogs between us. So we decided we were going to start keeping the gate closed so we could let the dogs out and have the run of all the yard instead of just one little part of the yard. So I went to the post mistress. What's that? Brad, did you meet the cousins of Lily? Yeah. Yeah, I'm getting to that. So I talked to the postmaster and I tell her I want to move my mailbox, which is just a few feet inside the gate. I want to move it outside the gate so I can keep my gate closed. And I tell her why. I got dogs and I want to be able to keep them in my yard and keep other dogs from coming in. So she says, well, I have to look at it and tell you where to put the box. No problem. She comes down here in her car and she tells me exactly where to put the box. I move the box out there and we get our mail for about a month. Everything goes fine, except the mailman, instead of backing up, what he would do is come down and deliver my mail and then turn up in the neighbor's front yard, go way up in his front yard around a tree and then back out in the road. Now I'm thinking, that ain't gonna last long. That man's gonna see that mailman driving up in his front yard and he's gonna put a stop to that, just like I did. I mean, who wants that? You know, you have grass, you mow it. I mean, who thinks that's okay? So he goes to the post office. First he says to me, see that mailman driving up my front yard? I said, yeah, I don't know. There's more than enough room to turn around. I have no idea why he's doing that, but I'm not going to say nothing. It ain't my front yard, and I want my mail. He goes to the postmaster and tells her to ask the mailman to stop driving in his front yard. That's not unreasonable. Okay, now my problems start. They stopped delivering my mail. They just completely stopped delivering my mail. Of course, I don't know it for a week. So all the Social Security stuff, all the doctor stuff, I mean, at that time, this couldn't happen at the worst time. You know, we were still getting moved over here. I was sick, my wife was sick, and it's just, neither of us, we weren't 100%, we were like 40%, and she was staying here, and I was moving a little bit at a time, trying to move over here, just sick as a dog. And finally, I had to have my thyroid out. That was part of my problem. I had no energy. I could only walk a few feet, and I moved my whole house over here, including my shop, one piece at a time. In the meantime, now this post office is starting the craziness. So I go up there and ask her why they stopped delivering my mail, and she said, because we're not allowed to back up. And I said, why are you not allowed to back up? It's a dead-end road. What else are you going to do? You backed up for 40 years delivering my mail when the mailbox was inside the gate. Now the mailbox is outside the gate. Now you can't back up. I know what the real problem is. She got mad that the neighbor asked her to stop letting that guy turn around in his front yard, which he had a right to. And I to this day, I don't understand why that mailman wouldn't just back up. There's more than enough room to back up there. So she stops delivering my mail, and I got to get a post office box, and I got to contact all these people. We have bank stuff. We're in the process of selling one house, in the process of buying this house and the land. We have tons and tons of paperwork coming and going. Plus, we're sick. And this lady, she doesn't give a crap about any of that. She's a very vindictive person. Anyway, it came to the point where I had to I wrote Greg Abbott, the governor here in Texas. I wrote all kinds of politicians that represent me. But the one thing I did that I think I'm almost positive is the thing that got her to go back to deliver on my mail was I wrote the United States Post Office Consumer Advocacy Center. Very hard to find. They don't want you contacting them. And I found it online. I wrote them a letter describing everything that happened, that all these years they had come down here, delivered mail, backed up, and gone. And now suddenly they can't. Hey, 713. One second. I got your knife right here, man. I just worked on it. Anyway, Hello, Jim. So, about 8 weeks go by, and they start delivering my mail. Suddenly, without telling me, suddenly I start getting mail in my box again. So, and then she's real nice to me, and she calls me sir, and I'll tell you, that and a whole bunch of other things. I can't even think of all this stuff. So, for 25 years, I have encountered nothing but psychopaths. I mean, I don't know how to describe it. People that use the little bit of authority they have to beat people up with it and make their lives difficult. And I could tell that this lady got genuine pleasure in making life hard for me. I told her, look, man, my wife and I are very sick. We're in the process of selling our old home. We have lots of bank stuff going back and forth. Can you just go back to delivering my mail? I really need my mail, and I just can't deal with this right now. I'm having a real hard time in life. So I got the impression that she enjoyed making my life difficult, and knowing that her little bit of authority affected people to that degree. So far, that's my post office story, not to mention them delivering stuff. Some things they won't deliver, and some things that they should bring back to the post office in the pouring rain, they leave out in the pouring rain. I came home one time after being on the road for 3 weeks to a box that had been set in my driveway. It had been out there and rained on so much it was just this big mushy mess of cardboard. I actually have a video of that somewhere way back. And that's just the kind of service I have had from these very well paid, uh, and they retire with really good retirement. They've got great benefits. I mean, it is a job you would think people would work very hard to keep and do well at, and they don't. They can't be fired. And to me, that's the government, that's the postal union. You know, none of them can be fired. And it doesn't matter how stupid and how awful a person you are, if you just stay there long enough, you get promoted. I hate the post office, and I don't mind telling you. And I don't, that's no secret, I guess. I hate the post office because for the same reason that I hated General Motors. They just destroyed people's businesses the way they operate. I didn't, I missed it. I didn't have my glasses on. And these glasses are falling apart. I got a screw coming out. I got a screw loose. Hey, Sean. Hey, Jeff. Energy vampires. Yeah, boy, that's for sure. So, I don't talk about the post office a whole lot, but I got to tell you, I hate the post office. It's nothing but nutbags. And I still have a post office box because it's just taken so long to get all my mail stopped from there to come back here. Now I'm afraid to give it up because who knows what might set them off again, you know? Ah, boy. Wichita. Wichita, Kansas. I am in Wascom, Texas. This is a dinner skinner that I just finished. I have 4 of them that I'm working on. This one is going to Montana. Hey, Uncle Buck. A what magnet? See, your writing's all fuzzy, man. Psycho magnet. Yeah. Well, opposites attract, right? Well, anyway, this is going to be a highly polished, a mirror polished one. And he's paying a little more for this. So I ordered some extra special stabilized bird's eye maple for it. I love bird's eye maple. And he wanted light colored handles, and bird's eye maple is light colored. And I have bird's eye maple, but it's not stabilized. And bird's eye maple is a fairly soft wood. So I want to buff this and not put true oil on it. And so I've ordered some really nice wood. So actually, all the extra money that I'm getting for polishing and is going into the extra wood. But I don't mind. I get more pleasure from putting out nice knives than I do from making a ton of money. You know, I'm not making a ton of money either. Well, I'll finish this coffee and we'll say goodbye. How long have I been doing this now? 25 minutes? Yeah, that's a long-winded story. All right, come on. So, how you doing? Boy, it's nice to have coffee in my shop. You got a new puppy? Well, tell me about it, man. What kind of puppy? God, I got a fat head. My God. The older I get, the fatter my head gets. I don't know what's going on with my head. I think Uncle Buck is having the same problem. What does Wasco mean in Dutch? I'd love to know. Oh, a Pomeranian Chihuahua. I love Pomeranians. Must be a smaller, yeah, smaller camera. There you go. It's the gray beard. Yeah. Sorry, I got to itch my nose. I've been breathing sanding dust. A Pomeranian Chihuahua mix. Hey, David Griffin. You knew. Yeah. Popsicle Pete, hello from Canada. Wascom means a washing bowl. Well, that's very interesting, huh? That's very interesting. Well, it's been a washing bowl this last week. My God, we have had some rain and gonna have some more rain next week. I'll give you a little spin on my shop. Here, let me put the dog down again. There's my little, that's my 1x42, my 4x36. That is my 2x42 and my jigsaw, Middletown, Connecticut. Yeah. That is my piece of craftsman saw. Gonna mow your yard, my God. Over here we got a craftsman drill press and then a DeWalt bandsaw. Yo, man. Well, Sean, depends what knife you want. My dinner skinners I get 105 for with just basic wood and satin finish or a stonewash finish, either your choice, and standard leather sheath, you know. But my Texas Rumble, you got shop envy. Hey Bruce, how are you? Uh, you know, it goes from 105 to 325 depending on exactly what you want. My Texas Rumble, highly polished, with expensive wood and expensive pins, I get 325 for. So it takes, but the Texas Rumble takes a couple of weeks to make, so I don't feel bad about getting that kind of money. Uh, the Texas Rumble with just satin finish, uh, any a wood that I have, which is more than likely walnut or some other hardwood, I would get 185 for with a satin finish, and that's including shipping and including a sheath. Cato, yeah, the Cato is 155 with satin finish. At least $5, yeah. I wish I could get $5 an hour, right? But I'm not making these knives because I want to turn this into a business. I love making knives. This is just what I want to do till I die. And I make enough money to keep myself in steel. Right up here is where I keep all my steel, and I'm getting low. I do ship to Canada. Yeah, it's like 23 or $24 to ship to Canada. You would have to pay the shipping. Basically, I build $5 into the price of each knife for shipping, and it costs me for the dinner skinner. It costs me $7 to ship it. A Cato is about $8 to ship. The Texas Rumble and a Swamp Rat cost me about 12 or $13 to ship. So, if you want one shipped to Canada, throw an extra $15 in there, and I'll cover the rest. I have shipped a few to Canada, and I've shipped a couple to Australia and 4 to New Zealand, and that's expensive. But if somebody's willing to pay the shipping, I'll send one anywhere. Well, y'all, it's 30 minutes. I'm gonna finish up my cold coffee. Still do bacon videos? Yeah, sometimes. I know my life has evolved, as everyone's does, and I'm spending a lot more of my time in the shop here. As I've gotten older, I do have another shop where I work on chainsaws and small engines, but it is way too cold. And the older I get, the more I hate cold. And right now it's like maybe 45 or 50 out there, which is just too cold for me to go to my garage. It's not heated. It's heated in here. As a matter of fact, there's how do you do it? There's my heater right there. That little heater heats this whole thing up. Hello, Major Payne. 12 degrees. Boy, oh boy. Yeah, that's. I don't think it's ever been that cold. And we get below freezing. As a matter of fact, I think it was below freezing last night. 44. Yep. Well, y'all, I'm gonna say goodbye. I wanted to talk, tell my long post office story, which, when you hear me talk about how much I hate the post office, I have good reason to hate the post office. I've had nothing but trouble from them Looney Tunes. Hey there, Hilltown. Hilltown, y'all. Hilltown is lives one town over from where I was born and raised up in Connecticut. Hey, Phil. Yep, I'm gonna go. Y'all have a good weekend. Thanks for stopping in and spending a little time with me. I'm gonna drink the rest of this coffee. Take care, y'all.